the House.
Darian Fenton.
Speaker, well, I come late to this debate, but it's a pleasure to take a call in the third reading of this bill and make a contribution in regards to the conclusion of the work that's been done by the Minister and the Select Committee. Labor does support the bill, and we support the government's efforts to find resolution to what's been a very sorry tale, and a long tale, a very long time, a systemic failure, as the Minister said, and actually a disaster in the building industry and in many people's lives. The leaky home crisis, which emerged in the 1990s, is an ongoing and construction and legal crisis in New Zealand, in which many thousands of newly constructed houses and apartment buildings built in the 1990s and early 2000s suffered from severe weather tightness problems. The total costs of the leaky home crisis is estimated at around $11.5 billion, with a reported estimate of between 22,000 and 89,000 homes affected, with only a minority, around 3,500, having been repaired to date. Now, behind these eye-watering statistics, Mr Speaker, there are many lives ruined. And I believe the Minister when he says that he had to look people in the eye. He described the other day in the committee stages about the difficult meetings he had to attend where people were crying. We've all met them. We've all had them come to our offices. People have lost their homes and their livelihoods, and because of this crisis, and sadly, as we've expressed throughout the debate, many will not be covered by this scheme. Buying or building a house is part of the Kiwi dream, and I can only imagine the joy of moving into a new home that you maybe have built from scratch or maybe taken over, but to soon have that turned into despair as the leaks appear, the building rots, the house starts to stink, and damaging fungi creep through the house and damages your family health. Imagine what it's like not knowing where to turn or who to hold responsible, especially when the builder or numerous contractors or subcontractors have disappeared, or the council takes no responsibility, or liquidations occur. Now, we have a slightly less political view of what happened. Well, I certainly do. I'm not going to talk about who was responsible, but there's no doubt that this crisis did begin in the early 1990s when the system of construction changed dramatically. It was the Building Code, 1991, where construction was re-regulated through a building code that set performance criteria to be achieved rather than prescribing the precise manner in which buildings were to be constructed. For instance, builders were just told that the structure must last 50 years, the cladding 15 years, and the walls and roofs must be impermeable to water. Other factors that led to the leaky homes problems involved many developers, builders and architects who knowingly or carelessly constructed buildings with numerous faults and shortcuts. These changes coincided with our passion for a new architectural design based on the Mediterranean-style flat roof. Too many people have perhaps been visiting Italy during that time, because it is a traditional dry climate design, and I can understand the attraction to those. I find them very attractive and appealing as well, although now I'm very suspicious of them. But they have low-angle monopitch roofs and buildings without eaves. Of course, there were numerous local authorities who failed in their inspection duties, and we've heard the stories of those, and they now share significant financial responsibilities, along with the builders, who in many cases have simply disappeared or removed themselves from liability, and the owners. Court cases have generally assigned around 1/3 of the financial responsibility to local authorities. Then in 1998, the New Zealand standard for timber treatment was changed. And I'm not saying it was any politicians were involved, Minister. It was changed to allow untreated timber for wall framing, and as this timber gets wet, it starts to rot. Also, due to increased insulation being used over this time, any moisture that came into contact with the timber was slower to evaporate. Additionally, some house designers used the opportunities to cut back water-protecting features, such as eaves. Another related problem was the collapse of the apprenticeship system and the operation of some unqualified builders. Cowboys entered the market. Point of order, Mr Speaker. I am speaking to the bill. I am rehearsing the history of this, as indeed the Minister did.
No, I'm dealing with a point here. The member is right that you can, but 5 minutes you've been talking about other than things that are in the bill, and a third reading bill is about what has been reported back from the Select Committee. So with the remaining time, can you concentrate on what's in the bill and not the other peripheral things which you're entitled to do in response to what the Minister said, but we actually would like to hear something about what's in the bill. This is a third reading bill. Darian Fenton.
Mr Speaker. Well, I did want to just mention that one of the problems, and one of the problems I think that will continue, was the growth in contracting and subcontracting and sub-subcontracting. We still have that in the market today. Now, the total cost of leaky homes problems has been estimated by PricewaterhouseCoopers as being around $11.5 billion. Now, we're talking about up to 89,000 homes that need some support, that need some repair. Huge numbers, eye-watering numbers. Only 23,000 homes are estimated to be covered under this financial assistance package in the bill. So I do want to, Mr Speaker, I know I have to talk about the bill, but I do think it's important that I put on the record that Labor did take action during the 2000s, because other members have said we did nothing. And I think it's very important that we put on the record that actually we did take a lot of action, including setting up the Weathertight Homes Resolution Service to assist leaky homes victims. The history of this particular bill was when the National Government came into power, it did offer to fix the problem. It did say it was going to fix the problem. They offered a package in November 2009, which would have given around 64% would have been borne by the owners, 26% by the councils and only 10% by the government. And that would also force homeowners to sign away their rights to sue for more. Now, that was widely rejected. There was a lot of criticism of that package, and several mayors actually noticed that by paying only 10% then receiving 12.5% back in goods and services tax, the government would actually make money from the crisis. So in February 2010, the building experts said that the government had seriously underestimated the true scale and cost of the problem, and there was advice from officials that 89,000 homes would fail at a cost of almost $23 million. Maurice Williamson at the time warned, and has continued to warn, that the issue is so ginormous that even a government with budget surpluses would struggle to compensate leaky home owners. On the 17th of May 2010, the government came to an agreement with local authorities and others, which it forms the basis of this bill. The local authorities and the government will contribute 25% of agreed repair costs, and affected homeowners funding the remaining 50% backed by a government loan guarantee. The government anticipates that its share of the package will cost around $1 billion over the next 5 years. Maurice Williamson says that this is bigger than Christchurch. When you look at the numbers, he said they are watering. We agree with him. One of the concerns we've expressed during the debate on this bill is the 10-year limit. And again, the Minister has said that's tough. That is tough, and we agree with that. Some building experts believe many cases have yet to be found out, and they will come to the fore in coming years as building rot becomes advanced enough. We also have expressed our concern, as did my colleague Nanaia Mahuta, about how the lack of skills could derail this very, very important bill that's passing today, and that will give hope to people. We are facing a severely depleted workforce. The forecasts that, for the reconstruction work in Christchurch and the leaky homes are enormous. They're in the billions, not in the millions. And the work is over and above the normal demand for new houses. This was discussed in the committee stages of the House. It was discussed in the Select Committee. There doesn't seem to be a resolution come through in this bill, and I'm worried that the homeowners who want to start building projects and fixing their leaky homes are going to face delays and increases in cost. However, Mr Speaker, this bill does make a good contribution to giving relief to the thousands of people affected by this awful crisis. I do believe the Minister when he says this was one of the most difficult jobs he's ever had to do, and I do without wanting to impinge on his reputation, I do want to say that I think he's done a very good job, and that's why Labor's supporting this bill. Sadly, there will be many people that miss out, and I think this will continue to be a problem.
Cool. Sue Kedgley.